Hi, it's Rich Hoffman here. So Big Tish James is in trouble. I knew that was going to happen to her. Letitia James, the Attorney General in New York, just like with all the Trump cases. I said it when it was going on, that all this lawfare stuff was going to backfire on them, and the consistent understanding of what communists are up to, people who are inclined to Marxism and communism psychologically, if you analyze their thought patterns. Why are they attracted to big government? It's because they're trying to hide elements of themselves that are shameful. And if you hide in a mass society, you can hide from people that you're a malicious, horrible person. And people who are attracted to Marxism and communism, socialism, the collectivist-based political orders have in common, in general, detrimental personality traits that they need to conceal in mass society. And that's certainly the case with these prosecutors and attorney generals who went after Trump. We saw that in Georgia, and now we see all over the New York cases. Letitia James went after Trump for just some errors on real estate transactions. Tried to associate it as being malicious, and she was willing to put him in jail for hundreds of years and cost him a lot of money, a whole lot of money. If he wasn't personally wealthy, he wouldn't have survived. He would have been in jail. He would have had all kinds of bad things happen to him. But because he literally made himself bigger than they had the power to attack him, he was able to get through it all and run to be president, because the goal was to completely destroy him and his businesses that were based in New York. So Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York City, or New York State, personally ran on a vendetta to use the power of that office as Attorney General to destroy Trump, and she did everything she could to do so. So now we've found out that she has all kinds of problems of her own, and that she had lied and been much more malicious on her real estate transactions, not being in the right state for which she had residence, which is knowing falsehoods. But probably the most malicious thing that I've seen so far in this case against her. As Attorney General of New York, you'd think that she would know better. That she lied on a statement that she was married to her father because they shared the same last name. And that's knowing falsehoods. There's no way to explain it, and she's busted to every way you could possibly bust somebody. And I think it's very healthy that Trump's in the White House and can now expose these people for what they really were. Because if he didn't survive and get into that position, these kinds of things have been going on forever in the background. And everybody kind of suspects it, and you hope that you can kind of play musical chairs in life and kind of sit on a chair when the music stops, and that you have a place to hide. But there's always going to be somebody who's going to get eliminated, and we watch them in our neighbors. You watch people go through tough times, and you hope it doesn't happen to you, because you have a corrupt system that essentially seeks to destroy you. And that corrupt system ends up attracting people like Letitia James into it. We go and have these elected offices, bring people into them, and hope that they're going to represent us well. But too often, you find out that the people who run for those offices are power-hungry, crazy lunatics that wouldn't want to work in the private sector because they want the looted confiscation of personal resources to apply to their malicious ends. And they're not good people. And when they get the power of government behind them, they can then utilize it to terrible effects. And Letitia James, in all respects, is a terrible person. Terrible person. So, Big Tish, as everybody likes to call her, because she was so overt in her aggression of using lawfare to destroy a political enemy, was doing far worse herself. And that's almost always the case when you start finding people who are drawn to these positions of power. So she's going to get in trouble. She should go to jail. She should have everything done to her that she suggested should have been done to Trump. And Trump turned out to be totally fine on those elements, and she's far more guilty and deserves what she has coming. But it arises a larger problem, because it's not just Democrats. Here in the state of Ohio, we have an attorney general in David Yost, and I like him. I've wanted him to be successful. I'm very thankful, though, that Vivek Ramaswamy has put his hat in the ring to be governor, because I had a lot of issues with David Yost, going from attorney general to running for governor, and just not having enough good people to be governor. I certainly haven't been happy with Mike DeWine, so David Yost wasn't something I was looking all that forward to. I think he's been a pretty decent attorney general in general, but and there's a case with the Roger Reynolds case where he certainly used the power of his office to destroy a political enemy. No different than what Letitia James did. And that's a problem. And it's not just Letitia James, Big Tish, doing these things. You get people in office, you give them power, and it's all too tempting for them to use that power to try to destroy political rivals. And we saw that with David Yost, Attorney General of Ohio, going after Roger Reynolds and pretty much tried to destroy his life. I think it was very sad what happened to him. And now, and it's only relevant because Roger Reynolds recently came out and did a press conference on trying to say that he wanted to get back into politics. And I can't help but feel sorry for him, because, the political forces he's on the outside of. And he wants to get back into it, and there really isn't a place for him to get back into it. They really kind of destroyed his brand, and has a natural reaction to that kind of stuff. He's, I think, handled it wrong. That you start getting to where you want respect, and you'll do anything to get your respect back. Well, they really didn't have a right to take his respect away from him. And what is a human being supposed to do when you get all focused on a political office being your validation for success because they had it taken from you, you want it back? Same thing with Trump. There's a lot of that money that was wasted in those court cases that Letitia James caused Trump and his family and his organization. Countless dollars in opportunity costs that were lost during those trials. And if Trump hadn't built such a big organization that could withstand that kind of scrutiny, he could have easily been destroyed and thrown in jail just over the political deference. And a lot of people, they see what's going on and they just hope it doesn't happen to them. So we spend our lives not trying to manage the crimes of these politicians when they get power hungry. We hope they just don't turn their wrath on us. We hope they do the job we don't want to do ourselves, but then we don't really have the wherewithal to manage them properly. We just hope it doesn't fall on us as a negative. And that's why it's so dangerous for government to be too big, to endlessly fund big government, because when you get people like Letitia James or David Yost in government, you're going to find that they're humans, and they have lots of faults, certainly, and you don't want to fund people who want power so they can hide their faults from the world. That's a dangerous combination. Not something that you want to see happen, and it happens too often. It happens at every level. It happens at school boards. It certainly happens attorney generals for states. It happens as governors. It happens as presidents. It really requires unique personalities that have really accomplished things in life to resist the temptation. And someone like Letitia James certainly didn't. Again, she ran on a Marxist platform to be a Marxist, George Soros type of attorney general, and to attack the essence of capitalism in America by targeting people like President Trump, not only to knock them out as political rivals, but to knock them out as as a wealthy class in class warfare, Marxism against the wealth creators. And that's dangerous, because I mean, you can use a political office that's supposed to do good for the state criminally, and you're using it as a political weapon. It becomes a big problem. And it wasn't just her. David Yost did the same thing on a rival. He didn't like Roger Reynolds. They had a dispute over some property tax assessment. And when you want to start puffing your chest out and say, oh yeah, well I have more power than you do, so I'm going to bring you down for arguing with me over this issue. That should never be the case. It should never happen. And it happens too often. And that's why we have to be very cautious about who we elect into these positions, how much power we give them, how much money we give them. Because that's why you never want too large of a government, because then you end up with a bunch of people in it like Letitia James. Big Tish, if you fall on the wrong side of government, then they use the power of their office to come after you. And that's not what we want in those positions. So a lesson to be learned. I think the efficacy of the situation is that justice is going to find its way for everything she demanded that happens to the Trump family is going to happen to her because she asked for it. And when you're out there prosecuting people, you're doing far worse in your own life. And again, we saw that in the Georgia cases too. All these people that came after Trump, we see that they're attracted to Democrat politics and big Marxist policies because they're bad people. They want to be in office so they can hide in collectivism and use the power of that government to enact the evils that they know reside in the back of their mind. And when you're an attorney general and you put on an application that you're married to your father, you knowingly committed fraud. Knowingly committed fraud. And we can't put up with that. And you can't put up with it when you see it, who it is, who you like, people you know, and they do bad. People are prone to fault, and you don't want to give them too much power. And that's a lesson on why you should never let government get too big, because you get people who abuse that power in those positions. And as Attorney General of New York, Letitia Big Tish James should have known better, but she didn't. And she thought she was going to get away with it because she thought she had so much power that she could trump the investigation. And if it wasn't for the Trump administration wanting to set things right based on their knowledge of the case, we might not even know this ever happened. How many times has it happened all across the country, everywhere? That's something we should be very worried about, because I guarantee it's not just Letitia James. I can say in my own state of Ohio that there were problems with David Yost. And I genuinely think of him as being a pretty good person. And I've seen the maliciousness and pettiness occur even there over really silly issues. And if you see those kinds of things happening where it's not so hard to do some investigations, just imagine what's hidden. Pretty bad stuff. That's why you have to keep government small as possible, because if you don't, it gets away from you, and pretty soon those characters had too much power and they're knocking on your door, and can never let that happen. Anyway, Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.